Logan from Tech Breakdown, and today we're going to break down the specs of the new MacBook Pros. They just came out in October 2021, and they are a monumental step forward. Apple is finally listening to their customers and creating a product that makes everybody happy. From the beautiful XDR displays, to the best speakers in the laptop by far, to the powerful M1 Max chip, to the incredibly long battery life, these new MacBook Pros have it all. The most visible technology on any device is obviously its display, so I'll break down that first. The new MacBook Pros have 14.2 and 16.2-inch Liquid Retina XDR displays with promotion. Liquid Retina XDR is Apple's marketing term for Mini LED, but before I explain what Mini LED is, we need to dig even deeper to a normal LED. An LED, or light-emitting diode, is a device in your display that can produce light from electricity. A Mini LED is exactly that. The only difference is that the LED is about 100 times smaller than a regular LED. This allows Apple to have more control over each section of the display, which they divide into something they call local dimming zones. To have extreme brightness with an LED that is so tiny, Apple had to put thousands of them in the MacBook Pro. Liquid Retina XDR has key benefits, such as deeper blacks and higher contrast ratios than regular LCD liquid crystal display can give you. Macs have been using LCD displays since the very beginning, because they gave the best quality and contrast without the trade-offs that early old organic light-emitting diode displays. You see, old had compromises that Apple wasn't willing to deal with. It had low brightness and bad color accuracy. Even the Pro Display XDR is an LCD display. Apple only started using OLED in September 2017 with the introduction of the iPhone X, and brought it to their consumer-level iPhones in 2020. The next advancement in Apple's display history was in April 2021 when Apple first introduced Mini LED with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Mini LED has very little compromises with its deep blacks and bright colors. Its largest downgrade is the blooming. Blooming is when you see a white shimmer around a white letter, because the local dimming zones are larger than the pixel size. If you ever see weird lining around the white letters with your MacBook Pro, that's because of Mini LED blooming. However, this is a very small compromise that you have to be in a very specific scenario to notice, so I wouldn't consider this as a reason not to get this product. As we mentioned earlier, Apple calls this the Liquid Retina XDR display. The XDR part of the story extends the experience of HDR. It gives you extreme brightness at 1600 nits, or measurements. This means that MacBook Pro has up to 1600 different brightness levels, which is great for watching HDR movies and TV shows. So to review, Liquid Retina XDR is Apple's new display technology that gives you deeper blacks and higher brightness levels than any other Apple device. LED stands for light-emitting diode, LCD stands for liquid crystal display, and OLED stands for organic light-emitting diode. Alright, we know what Liquid Retina XDR is. Now, let's talk about promotion. Promotion is an adaptive refresh rate technology that allows the display to refresh from 10 Hz to 120 Hz. On the previous MacBook Pros, the display refreshed 60 times per second. That meant that the content you were viewing refreshed itself 60 times per second. That is 60 Hz. Promotion doubled it to 120 Hz, meaning that the display refreshes now 120 times per second. Now promotion does more than just allow 120 Hz. If you have 120 Hz on all the time, it can really drain battery life. Why? Because the device, or chip that is powering the device, has to refresh the content 120 times each second for the amount of time that you are using the device. If you use it for just 1 minute, the content refreshes 7,200 times in that 1 minute. Because of that, promotion also enables adaptive refresh rate. Adaptive refresh rate is a technology that adapts the refresh rate based on what you're doing. If you're playing a game, you would want 120 Hz instead of 10 Hz. However, if you're looking at images of your cat, you don't need the silky smooth refresh rates that gaming requires. This is how adaptive refresh rate helps, adapting the refresh rate based on what you are doing to preserve battery life. The refresh rate helps you understand how fast your scrolling will be. Alright, we have the displays of the new MacBook Pros down. Now, let's talk about performance. This is where the revolutionary M1 Pro and M1 Max chips come in. They both have groundbreaking performance and extraordinary power efficiency. Let's break them down, starting with the CPU and GPU. The M1 Pro and M1 Max chips both have 10-core CPUs and 16-core CPUs, but M1 Max can go up to a 32-core GPU. The CPU, or Central Processing Unit, is the brain of the chip. Each CPU core can focus on one task. Basically, the more cores you have, the more efficient the CPU is, because that means that one core doesn't have to run more than one task at a time, enabling faster performance and improved power efficiency. The GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit, powers the graphics. It has cores just like the CPU for more performance and battery life. M1 Pro and M1 Max combine the CPU and GPU into a single SoC, or system on a chip. This allows the CPU and GPU to share pools of unified memory for a unified memory architecture, or UMA. Have you ever heard of random access memory, or RAM? It's basically the compute memory that computers have. It allows you to multitask and have multiple apps running smoothly at the same time. Without the architecture of an SoC, you would have to have two pools of RAM, one for the CPU and one for the GPU. But with M1 Pro and M1 Max, these three components are combined onto one chip to create a unified memory architecture for improved performance and battery life, since the RAM doesn't have to copy across two different pools of memory. To recap everything we just talked about, the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips combine powerful CPUs, PUs, and UMA onto a single SoC. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit, GPU stands for Graphics Processing Unit, UMA stands for Unified Memory Architecture, and SoC stands for System on a Chip. Alright, so we have the CPU, GPU, and UMA. But there's much more than that to these new chips. We have the Neural Engine, ISP, and ProRes accelerators that help with specific tasks. The Neural Engine is a beast at machine learning, the ISP helps with the camera, and the ProRes accelerators help with editing ProRes footage. The Neural Engine is a group of specialized cores in the chip's NPU, Neural Processing Unit. Similar to the GPU, which is designed to excel at graphics, the NPU is designed to excel at machine learning tasks. The Neural Engine in M1 Pro and M1 Max has a 16-core design, meaning that there are 16 cores in the chip's NPU that are designed for machine learning tasks, so the Neural Engine can perform up to 16 different ML-based tasks at once if you have one task on each core. The Neural Engine is a much more energy-efficient solution than putting machine learning cores in the CPU or GPU, and it's been an Apple product since the iPhone 8 and 10. The Neural Engine also greatly improves the speed of ML tasks. For example, when you are using ML-based tasks in Final Cut Pro like Smart Conform, the Neural Engine can perform the task up to 2 times faster than an Intel CPU. Now, the ISP is a very different element to the SoC. The ISP, Image Signal Processor, is a device that processes image or video. When you are on a FaceTime call, the camera uses the ISP to help with skin tones, noise reduction, auto white balance, greater dynamic range, and even ML tasks like face detection. It is paired with the 1080p webcam to give you sharper video quality. The camera quality on the MacBook Pro is significantly better, because we have gone from a 720p to a 1080p FaceTime HD camera. The last chip technology that we're going to talk about are the ProRes accelerators. These are designed to improve your experience working with ProRes footage, shortening the export time. These accelerators also drastically increase the amount of streams you can work with. For comparison, let's take a look at the 2019 Mac Pro, and yes, I did just say Mac Pro. The 2019 Mac Pro with the Apple Afterburner lets you edit up to 3 streams of 8K ProRes and up to 12 streams of 4K. These new MacBook Pros with the M1 Max chip, which gives you 2 ProRes accelerators, allows you to edit up to 7 streams of 8K ProRes and up to 30 streams of 4K ProRes. These new MacBook Pros also excel at speaker quality. They have 6 speakers with 2 tweeters and 4 force-canceling woofers. The tweeter is a specialized audio device designed to play audio at the highest frequencies. The woofers produce the low bass, and they go half an octave deeper than the previous MacBook Pros. The woofer diaphragms can displace twice as much air, meaning that you will have cleaner sound when you are watching movies or listening to music. They give you 80% more bass than the previous MacBook Pros. The tweeters have incredibly high frequencies and the woofers have extremely low bass that is half an octave deeper than the previous MacBook Pros. The new MacBook Pros also have support for spatial audio, which puts you in the center of the action by directing audio all around you when you are wearing AirPods, 3rd generation, AirPods Pro and AirPods Max. Spatial audio gives you an immersive 360-degree sound experience. MacBook Pro also supports Dolby Atmos and lossless, 2 more great sound formats that give you the best audio experience possible on the laptop. MacBook Pro also has a great camera and mic system. MacBook Pro has a 1080p FaceTime HD camera. It is a 4-element lens, which means that it gives you sharper details in every section of your video. If you compare it to a 3-element lens, you would have blurred details in the corners of your webcam. The camera is paired with the ISP for tone mapping, warmth, noise reduction and more. These are all advanced technologies that are powered by the ISP and Neural Engine, enabling a better video experience than ever before. These features are called computational video. This camera is also twice as good in low light conditions. The mics have also improved. MacBook Pro's studio quality mics have a 3-mic array and give you up to a 60% lower noise floor. This means that the recordings will give you noise at every volume range, from the quietest children at 8 AM to the loudest teenagers at 1 AM. Of course, the mics also use audio algorithms to improve their sound quality, which all works beautifully because of that Neural Engine. Finally, let's talk about how these new MacBook Pros stack up against the competition. These new MacBook Pros are far more powerful than their predecessors. The 16-inch MacBook Pro is up to 2 times faster in CPU performance than the Intel Core i9 that was previously in it. For graphics, M1 Pro is up to 2.5 times faster than the Radeon Pro 5600M graphics card, and M1 Max makes that 4 times faster. Machine learning is up to 5 times faster on the 16-inch as well. The 14-inch MacBook Pro has up to 3.7 times faster CPU than its predecessor with the Intel Core i7. Compared to the i7, M1 Pro has up to 9 times faster graphics, and M1 Max is up to 13 times faster. ML tasks on the 14-inch are up to 11 times faster than the i7. The MacBook Pro also has up to 64 GB of unified memory, and SSDs that have 7.4 GB per second speeds. This all means that the MacBook Pros have incredibly fast performance and outperform all of the latest PC laptops, while maintaining the incredible battery life, which is up to 21 hours. These MacBook Pros introduce so many advanced technologies. But those technologies can often lead to a lot of acronyms and technical words that the average viewer can't understand. We are going to quickly recap all of the phrases that we just learned about, and hopefully simplify them a bit more so that you can understand what these new laptops can offer. These new MacBook Pros can be configured with a 14.2-inch or 16.2-inch Liquid Retina XDR display that features ProMotion technology. Liquid Retina XDR uses mini LED backlighting and optical films and infusers to deliver deeper blacks and brighter colors, as well as that incredible 1600 nits of peak HDR brightness. ProMotion is an adaptive refresh rate technology that allows the display to change how fast it reacts to touch, or in this case, trackpad. You can still choose a standard refresh rate if you are someone like a video editor and you need that locked into place. They are powered by the M1 Pro and M1 Max chips with 10-core CPUs. The M1 Pro chip gives you up to a 16-core GPU, and M1 Max gives up to 32 GPU cores. They also feature the 16-core neural engine or NPU, an advanced image signal processor or ISP, and ProRes accelerators that accelerate ProRes workflows with incredibly fast export times and allowing you to edit more streams at once than even a 28-core Mac Pro, which would cost over $10,000 more. These laptops have a 6-speaker sound system with incredibly low bass, high frequencies, and support for spatial audio, Dolby Atmos and lossless audio. The camera is a 1080p sensor and performs twice as well in low light conditions. These MacBook Pros are up to 3.7 times faster in CPU performance, 9 times faster in GPU performance, and 11 times faster in ML tasks than their predecessors. These MacBook Pros can also be configured with up to 4 times as much video memory compared to the newest Pro laptop competitors. These MacBook Pros are truly extraordinary and remarkable in every way. From all of these new technologies to things that we didn't even have time to talk about, like the new 14-inch size, which has a display that is 0.9 inches larger than the previous MacBook Pro, the removal of the touch bar, the return of legacy ports like HDMI, and so much more. These MacBook Pros start at $1,999, and I think that if you have the money and you've been tired of slow, overheating Mac laptops with grainy camera quality, bad speakers, and being forced to live with USB-C only, this could be the product you've been waiting for. If you are unsure, definitely be sure to hold out a little longer, because as Apple completes their transition to Apple Silicon, there are many new Macs coming this year, including the redesigned MacBook Air, the return of the iMac Pro, the Pro version of the Mac Mini, the new 13-inch MacBook Pro which will get the M2 like the Air, and the monstrous Mac Pro which is rumored to be 4 times as powerful as these MacBook Pros. Thanks for watching. My name is Logan and I'll see you guys in the next one.